Let's focus our mind now on philosophers. In this, I proceed with great caution. There's often discussion trying to differentiate the distinction between philosophers, scientists, and mathematicians, especially between philosophers and scientists. And so I'm engaging in such an analysis, but I'm not doing a compare and contrasting here. What I'm actually looking at is what makes a person essentially a philosopher. Now, there's the professional philosopher, the people who have PhDs and masters. I'm not going in that route. What I'm really saying is what it is to really do philosophy. And all the major philosophers are engaging in this, but it's not about degrees. Every human being, as I said, has a right to philosophize, and on some occasion they do in fact philosophize. So when we say philosopher, this is the sort of thing we mean. So philosopher, I say ideal philosophers. Philosophers are humans. They're human, just like anyone else. Scientists, mathematicians, they're human. They have their strength and their weakness. So we're looking at particular activity, really, and anyone can philosophize. I should mention that you know that the highest degree in the university is a PhD, a doctorate of philosophy. So it's not about, you want to be a historian, for example, and get a PhD in history to get the highest degree in that area, history. That means you get a doctorate of philosopher, the doctorate of philosophy in history. How is that? Isn't philosophy a separate discipline? Yes, because philosophy is a way of thinking, and the whole university recognizes it. And have the highest degree, the highest way of thinking is philosophical. So if you want the highest degree in any area, you have to show you can think philosophically in that area. So when you come to in the department of philosophy itself, okay, my department, which is how we think from undergraduate on up to the PhD. And it's a style of thinking. We're showing people how to think in a certain way. We become expert in teaching people how to think of it, think in this way. But everyone really is responsible for thinking philosophical on some occasion. When you get the label of philosopher, you're doing this more full time, and you're in the area of teaching it like I might be. So when I can think of an idea of philosophy, we'll use that word correctly. Okay. The first thing is this seeker of infallible knowledge. Okay. Scientists want knowledge, mathematicians want knowledge, you want knowledge, everyone wants knowledge. What the philosopher is looking for is knowledge that cannot be proven false. That is, once you know it, the philosopher wants to look at it from all different angles. Once you know this particular theory in psychology works in California, the philosopher said, does it work in Australia? Does it work in China? Does it work in Africa? If we were to go on Mars and there were rational agents there, would that same theory of psychology work? Scientists don't want to go that far. They just want to know it work in some area and use in that area. But the philosopher likes to know all those kind of questions. Seekers of infallible knowledge. The reason people get PhDs in different areas that are not philosophy itself is because the word philosophy means intellectually independent thinker, intellectually autonomous thinker. You could think for yourself. At the master's degree in history, you have shown you understand all the big players, all the big scholars in that area, all the major problems. Master's degree means basically you know it all. That's what it means. A PhD means you know more than it all. And what does that mean? You find a particular problem in your area, let's say history, and then you write a dissertation. You research, try to find a solution to this problem, and you present to a board of PhDs. And they grant you the PhD if you demonstrate you have found a solution that is not part of the system already and that discipline already. And so you have shown that you could think independently for yourself. Right? So philosophers, that's the main thing. And when I say you, as an individual, have the right to philosophize, I am focused on this part very, very much. That is, I'm saying you need to learn to think for yourself. Find out the truth as far as you can for yourself. Doesn't mean to ban all of the truth, but you can also know it for yourself. Despite the fact that you're learning to think of things for yourself, the word philosophy Philosopher means one who is extremely objective. Means seeking that infallible knowledge, that knowledge that very certain is there. It also means you're going to be objective about it. It's not about you wanting it, you feeling it, and therefore it's true. It's going to be objective, which means you're always going to have arguments for whatever it is. Even if the argument is weak or not, the thing is you put nothing before yourself or other people as philosophy unless you have argument, evidence for it to make people believe in these abstract beliefs about reality, morality, and anything else you're talking about. This idea of extreme objectivity must be there. And this must come from the philosopher, him or herself. They are self-critical, re-evaluate ideas again and again, so that they can convince themselves that this is objectively true. It's not just my opinion, and it's ready to go. Let me present to other critical thinkers and see what they say. That's my sense when I study, say, that 21 or 20 or so major philosophers in the history of Western philosophy. This is what I walk away with. Now, I want you to pause for a second. In front of you are just some philosophers. There are many, many philosophers, but in a basic introductory course of philosophy, I would expect that many of these philosophers are discussed. Many of these here in front of you are pre-Socratic philosophers. Then you got the Socratic philosophers. Thomas Aquinas, he's very unique. You recognize as a philosopher, but at the same time, he's a saint in the Catholic Church. Okay, these are just names that are significant in various areas of philosophy, especially metaphysics. Another list of philosophers to gloss at. And if you're looking to get more, we talk about the history of philosophy, I'd recommend selecting any three of these philosophers and just go do a little historical writing on them. You know, a brief biography, 1,000-word biography on them, just to get a flavor, ground yourself in the history of philosophy. Write a little paper, giving your mind that extra confidence. And all these are more philosophers. Again, for a nice intro course, they really give you a nice flavor of what's happening in philosophy. I highly recommend all of these philosophers as well. Okay. That would just show tell of some names, right?